In the know.
Good evening, everyone.
In the know.
Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? This is a reality we simply have to accept. Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead.
Welcome,
and get
everyone.
started.
I know this one. I've had this come a million times. All right. You're trying to figure out if you got a good disability case. But the reality is that you don't know what information you need to ask for first. First of all, let me just tell you flat out. Don't just rely on what the doctor tells you verbally or just some gut feeling or some procedure you went through. Get your hands on some hardcore evidence to look at so that you know for two reasons. One, so that you can look at it yourself and have an understanding. Or two, if you don't know what the hell you're looking at, you can provide it to somebody, a representative, a non-attorney or attorney who can review it and tell you. Don't sit here and go on good feelings, people. This is your life we're talking about. This is a disability process you're going through that you're going to be in for years. You want to try to present the best case possible. So here we go. Let's rock. First of all, the first portion of today's show, today afternoon, whatever. So this morning show, what should you get? Okay, few things you should get. This is not all inclusive, but just a few things you should get. Treating notes for the period of disability. What do you mean by the period of disability? If you say you became disabled on a certain date, from that date going forward. Now, some of you are going to say, well, wait a minute, man, I was having problems before then. Yeah, that's beautiful. Up to a year before, maybe two. But for the grander scheme of things, Social Security is going to want to know, at what point did your medical condition keep you from working? This is the day. Well, guess what? That day going forward is really what they're going to be focusing on. Historical data is always good, but it's from that date forward that they're going to be focusing on. That's the first thing. Second, any objective testing. The reason why it's objective is because by virtue of it, it speaks for itself. We all interpret information differently, but really it is what it is in terms of the evidence. It shows you information about you with no bias or no slanting or anything like that. And you say, well, what do you mean like what? Think about it. Any test that you had to be administered by some type of machine or device or thing like that. So X-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, CTs, EEG, lab results, nerve conduction studies, all of those things. Get your hands on those if you have them. The most recent possible if you can. Also, any records of therapies or hospitalization. So you want the notes from the doc. You want whatever objective evidence they relied upon in diagnosing you and whatever treatment that you had as a result of this. This is the things that you should want to get your hands on first. And then, so when we come back, we're going to talk about what types of things you should be looking at when you're looking through those records. Because trust me, when you're looking at this stuff, you're probably like, what the hell is this? Let me give you a few little tidbits, not all inclusive, of some things that you might want to look at.
Under the Social Security regulations, representatives are permitted to practice before the administrative agency anywhere in the country, which means that when you're looking for a representative, you can find someone who doesn't necessarily have to be in your state if you're just going before the administrative agency. So it's possible to have an attorney or representative who's from Utah, even though you may be in Georgia. And our office is actually no different. So if you're wondering which states we cover, check this out. Now, the tricky part is once you have to sue the Social Security Administration. Under that situation, you want to have an attorney that's representing you in your jurisdiction. So if you have a representative who's in another state and you've gone all the way to the Appeals Council and you've been denied and you want to sue the Social Security Administration, make sure you ask that representative whether or not they can sue someone in that particular state.
Okay. What should you look for? First, when you look at your treating notes, look for the examinations. Now, you're going to say, what's going to happen? Well, typically what will happen is you're going to see the subjective portion of where you made your complaints. Okay? Under that, you're probably going to see a review of systems or your history. That is not so helpful as much to you as you think. That really is just talking about where you've been in the past in terms of your condition as a whole. What you want to look at is the examinations. And when you're looking at the examination, think about your condition and look at what the examinations say. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you've got a bad back. That's kind of the more average one that I like to use. Let's say you have a bad back. You want to look in your file. You want to look in your file and you want to see if there's any indication of any, under the musculoskeletal conditions, is there anything that says abnormal or normal, within limits or not within limits. Those are the types of things we want to look for. You also want to see, is there any statements in your records, not under the examination portion, but just down towards the assessment and the plan. Is there anything or any statements in your records about what limitations that you have, what the doctor believes you can and you can't do? And then also look to see if there's any problem areas. Well, what do you mean by problem areas? Did the doctor say anything about non-compliance? Is the doctor saying that you are, having problems, doing certain things, that the doctor's recommended you do something and you've expressed reservation? Remember, you don't just want to know the good stuff. You want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, because these are the things that you're going to have to explain. The good are the things that help your case, meaning the ones specific limitations to talk about what you can and you can't do. The bad is things like the non-compliance or failure to follow treatment, things of that nature, because you're going to have to explain that. And of course, the ugly is how these things interact with each other. You've got to be able to explain them because you're the star of the show. This is your case. So keep in mind, if you're trying to decide if you've got a good case, get your hands on these types of information, if at a bare minimum, so that you can get familiar with what your doctors and what your medical records say about you. And on the other hand, if you have no clue what you're looking at, you now have something that you can take to a representative that you're looking at hiring so that they can get a better idea of what your case is like and educating you about whether they can help you and what they can do to help strengthen your case.
I want to thank all of you for engaging in the videos. Make sure you take the opportunity to send me any comments or send me any particular questions that you want me to have addressed here. As you know, this show is for you, and so the only way I can make sure that I can provide you some good information is if you provide me some good questions. Keep them coming, and right here on Q&A, Social Security Disability Today.